Today is July 6th, 2020. It's about 10:20 a.m. Central Time. My name is Cristina Abreu, and I'm interviewing Vivian Meade for the Latino Oral History Project, Voces of a Pandemic Project at the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies at Northern Illinois University. This project, it's in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Vivi, we want you, hold on, I'm just checking to make sure that we're recording. Yeah, okay. We want you to know, Vivi, that this interview will be placed in the Northern Illinois University libraries and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there's anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something that you do want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. Because we're not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each one. There are several questions we need to make sure you agree to before we can go on. Okay? So the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies wishes to archive your interview along with any other photographs and other documentation at Northern Illinois University Libraries. Northern Illinois University Libraries will retain copyright of the interview and any other materials you donate to the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies at Northern Illinois University. So here's question 1. Do you give the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies consent to archive your interview and your materials at the university, at Northern Illinois University Libraries?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant Northern Illinois University Libraries right, title, and interest in copyright over the interview and any materials you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow Northern Illinois University Libraries to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies consent to share your interview and your materials with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voces of a Pandemic Oral History mini project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
We have many questions in a pre-interview form that we have already filled out. We use that information from the pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server at the University of Texas at Austin. Before Voces sends it to the Benson Library and NIU libraries, we would have stripped out any contact information for yourself or family members, so that will not be part of your public profile. Your public file will only be accessible at the Benson Library and NIU libraries. So question 5. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your pre-interview in your public file available to researchers at the Benson and NIU libraries?
Yes, I agree.
On occasion, the Center for Latino and Latin American Studies and Voces receive requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your contact information with journalists?
Yes, I agree.
All right, sweet. All right, so we have gotten the formalities out of the way. Thank you for that. All right, so we'll talk about as much as you want to talk about, and then towards the end, if there's anything that I haven't asked that you want to share, please let me know. So we'll start out, maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Vivian Meade, and I have just finished with my bachelor's at Northern Illinois University with a major in Spanish, language and literature, and then also with a minor in Latino and Latin American studies. And yeah.
All right. What are you hoping to do now that you've graduated?
Right now I'm looking for internships so I can get more focused in human rights and activism. I've kind of decided that's what I want to do with my career path. So I'm working with internships in that, and then also just kind of looking for bilingual jobs in the medical field, receptionist, just to get a job going.
All right. How did you first learn about COVID-19?
I think it was on Facebook way back. I think in like December and January, and everybody was calling it the coronavirus, and then it was just all the memes with the beer. And then I, when I first found out it was getting super serious was when the university like sent out that email in the middle of spring break, and they just said that they're going to extend it, and then I realized it was pretty serious.
All right. Were you talking about it? Like, what was your initial reaction to the information that you were getting?
I wasn't super worried at first because it was 4 years ago we had swine flu or something, or bird flu, and then no, it was swine flu, and then when I was actually studying in Chile it was bird flu. So I was like, oh, this happens every so many years, it's not that bad, it'll be fine, just ride it out. And I thought it'd be cool, but then it was a lot more serious and people were a lot more serious and freaked out, and then I decided this is real. This is a real thing.
What was like the talk among like your friends on campus and stuff? Like, what was the talk like about it like?
Some people were pretty much YOLO, you only live once. They're like, oh, okay, we'll go on a trip. So people left and they went to Miami for spring break, and they're like, if I get sick, I get sick. And so then they came back, and a lot of my friends are from the Caribbean. So then they were just joking about how they had to, leave and not come back here. And then it actually did happen. So it was a lot of joking, I feel like, around with everybody. And then when it actually started to happen, it was a lot more serious.
Mhm. Were you joking about it too? Like, did you like kind of what was your personal kind of approach to it?
I was okay with it. I was just okay with it because quarantine, I was sick, like chronically sick for 3 years. So this quarantine thing is nothing new to me. I'm used to staying home. I'm used to all of this. So I wasn't super worried. My OCD did get a little crazy, so I was cleaning everything, just keeping things clean around here. But I don't think I was super anxious about it, just because I'm kind of used to living like this, and like now the rest of the world was kind of like it. Um, but now I'm just kind of a bit more worried because it just keeps going and it just keeps getting worse and worse. So I guess maybe that calm, whatever, it's okay, it will be fine. I feel like more of that's leaving, and it's more stress on if I'm gonna find a job, will this get better? All of that.
Hmm. Are you immunocompromised?
Yeah, so I have a pretty bad immune system, but I got very sick right when we got back into school. I got sick the first week or so of January or February,
Hmm.
and I thought it was corona. I thought it was COVID and everything. Just because, I was really sick. I hurt everywhere and my lungs were hurting. But I don't really know. But from being that sick, I kind of feel like I won't get it. So I don't know. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, but
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Has that been your experience too, that you've had people like that who were sick, like in January and February and think that maybe they had it?
yeah, a lot of people, because a lot of my friends, we all came back and then we were all working in Neptune in the dining center, and you get a lot of people coming in, and it was just right after break, and people said they got really sick and they felt the same, like hurting, the fever. um but like I guess at the time we didn't really have testing, so then they believe that they had it as well. So
All right. Um, can you talk a little bit about how COVID-19 has impacted you this summer? Or like at the end, or like from when it started, like kind of what has been like the daily impact of the virus for you?
Yeah, so this past spring semester was going to be my last semester after 8 years in undergrad and everything. And I was really happy, and I was taking all level 400, pretty much Spanish, and they were night classes. And it was nice, just kind of finishing up, being in classes I really liked, being in discussions and lectures, and then going from all of that in class to automatically online. It was so difficult. I just felt like I missed out on a lot of prepping to graduate and kind of like get into the career, and then also just finishing up and doing like senior projects and presenting my portfolio. That was really, really difficult. And then people, like, the economy is worse than the recession, so then trying to find a job in this is so stressful, and nobody ever prepares you for something like that. And so then that's like a stress in itself. And I had a trip planned for the Dominican Republic. I was going to go for 2 weeks in August, and I had to cancel that. And so it was just a lot of things that my life just completely, like, all the plans. I booked the ticket in January, and I was like, I'm going to go. Nothing's going to happen. Thankfully, I bought insurance. But it's just definitely put a lot of life plans on hold, and it really does suck.
What worries you about the job search?
That I won't find a job, because it's, there's so many people looking for a job right now. There's so many other, recent college graduates who have like the same degree and probably like credentials and qualifications I do. So then I'm stacked up against all of them, and there's so many fewer positions, or people are putting positions out and then they can no longer have them because things are changing. So in certain ways, I feel like, yes, having a Spanish degree and having Latino studies minor, that helps. But then at the same time, like, how much does that put me out, against other people, because it's so needed right now, but with, such fewer positions.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of been a huge stress. Like, if I can just find something that, I want to do, because being 26, almost, like, I really don't want to end up like working back at Target, with everything. I want to, like, actually be working a job. So that's how I feel.
All right. How's it impacted you and your family, like your ability to see them or communicate with them and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I haven't been back to Iowa since my mom's birthday. So since Valentine's Day, I haven't been back. And I saw my mom. We met in Dixon, and we did the social distancing lunch and everything right after finals and everything. So I saw her then. But it has been really, really difficult, because my nieces, my one niece just turned 5 on Cinco de Mayo. So I wasn't there for that. And then I have another niece that's going to be 3 in November. So she's really, really growing up right now. And so that's hard that I can't, go back and be there with them. And, my sister, she's moving for the first time to their own place with the both of them. And I can't help with that. So I think that part, like, not seeing my family, like, it's starting to kind of back up a little bit more, because, like, as time goes on, there's a lot more, kind of, I guess, milestones
Mm-hmm.
that I'm missing in my niece's life, and my sister too. And I do miss my mom. I feel bad, she hates being stuck inside all the time, and so it's a little hard.
What do you have, like a support system in DeKalb? Or you mentioned you had like what's your living situation right now?
Yeah, so I live with my roommate, and we've been best friends for 10 years. And we've lived, in North Dakota and Iowa together. So I have a really good support system. And then thankfully, one of my friends from the Caribbean is still here. He didn't get to go home. And then through organizing with Black Lives Matter, I've met so many different people now, so that's been a good support system as well.
Okay, cool. So what's it like going out, or do you go out now during COVID-19? And like, what's that like for you? Like, what's your protocol kind of thing?
Yeah. So when I first started going out, I had the mask, gloves, everything. Like I would wear long pants, I would have, sleeves. I don't know. I was just really, really worried, and had hand sanitizer every time. And then every time I would come back home, I would like Lysol spray the door and everything. Now it's a lot less. I feel okay going in t-shirts and shorts to the store. I don't know. I always wear a mask, and I always carry hand sanitizer with me. The past few weeks, I've been going out a lot more, and I noticed that, and I got a little freaked out. And since spikes have been happening a bit more, it's back to, Aldi once a week, that's it.
Okay. What about like, has it impacted your like, how do you decide where you're gonna go and who you're gonna interact with and stuff? Like, what's your, like, your decision making for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I think Aldi's okay just because it's a little smaller and I see them actively cleaning down carts and stuff in the store. I feel a lot better with that. Walmart, I really haven't gone to just because now I see so many people going in without masks. Target, I haven't, but that's pretty much it. I think I've just kind of gone to Aldi and then CVS if I need to, and CVS is really strict with the masks. But other than that, I really haven't been anywhere else. Like, I'll take food to go, but that's it.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, because I want to make sure that we kind of are able to talk about this. Let's talk a little bit about your involvement with Black Lives Matter. So when did that start? And kind of take me through like your role now and how you
Yeah,
got there.
yeah, that's crazy. So George Floyd, after the death of George Floyd, or more the murder, I kind of had enough. I kept seeing so much of the video, all over Facebook, and my sister was like, "Have you seen it? Have you seen it?" And, I just told her no. Like, why see it? I know this happens, like, lynchings happen all the time. The only difference is that this is so much public and it's very worldwide. So I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know how I felt about it. And I think Friday, the 29th, May 29th, I woke up one morning and just decided to do a protest. So I posted in this DeKalb COVID Facebook group saying, "Hey, I'm going to do a protest. I'll be here tomorrow at this time." Like, cool. And then it just kept getting shared, and people wanted more information, so then I decided just to make a Facebook group. And I didn't know what would happen. I'm not a social media person. I've never really done stuff like that before. So then I went to bed, I think like that Friday night, and then the next morning there's like over 1,000 people in it. And then like the police are calling me, like, "We heard this is going to be a big thing. We want it to be fine and peaceful." So they helped me kind of like figure out and get things like situated and everything. So get there at, I can't remember what time now anymore. So I get there and there's just so many people coming. I thought there was going to be maybe like 30 people, and more people keep coming over at Memorial Park. They call it like the Peace Corner at the tank. And then I just
There's a
kind of
peace corner with a tank.
yeah, the Peace Corner with a tank. And it's just kind of the weirdest thing. And I don't know, I kind of gave a little speech and it was cool. And then we started marching, and I was just amazed at how many people were there. Like, the energy, just so many different like walks of land of people there. I never thought I would see that in DeKalb. I never thought I would see that in small town Illinois or small town Midwest, you know? And it was such a huge thing. So that happened, and everybody really wanted, like, the community really wanted more. So I decided that, okay, we're going to go with Black Lives Matter going forward. So I created, a different group for that, and it's like the Black Lives Matter of DeKalb, Illinois. And there's an Allies United page as well that's just kind of resources for allies, training for protests and everything. And that's really cool because it's nice seeing white allies, saying, I understand my privilege now, I didn't understand, and learning more about it and having open dialogues. And so right now it's just been a lot of protesting. There's a lot of different groups protesting. And so we're trying to get everybody together to unite and be on one front. But a lot of things have happened from it. There's a big push for policy change. We had a really, really big town hall where people were able to voice their opinions, their thoughts, their stories, and how they've been affected by police brutality and racism in DeKalb and Sycamore. There was a huge protest in Sycamore that, shut down half of downtown, that the Sycamore police said they never in their life has seen anything like that.
Did you organize that one?
Yeah, I helped organize that one. I've organized the first one. I helped organize the one in Sycamore, and then I organized the Juneteenth one.
So let me ask you a question. I wanna know a little bit more about, like, how. So it sounds like, so basically your involvement was it really just like you just woke up pissed and we're gonna do this, and then that was like, did you have any like training or any training with like Black Lives Matter or any other kind of organizations, or was this really just like, Vivi's done and she's gonna do this?
Yeah, so for coming out of the shadows, they have training for allies, to be on the side and run security. So the first semester I was here, I did that for coming out of the shadows. And I was like, cool, okay, I love this, awesome. And then seeing the Black Lives Matter protest in Chicago back in 2016, I really like how the organizers kept it super, super peaceful. And then I've seen riots in Chile, so I kind of knew how things could go wrong and what to do if they go wrong. So I took kind of collective experiences from that and just decided to do this. And I was like, if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It was really nerve-wracking because I didn't know if there were going to be counter protesters.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what there was going to be. And then, so that was also a huge thing. This is my first time organizing a protest like this. If something happens, it's on me. So
Are there other groups in DeKalb that you've been working with or that you've had conflict with in these moments?
Yeah. So everybody wants to work now with Black Lives Matter, but I think the hardest thing has been discourse between, like, Blacks in the Black Lives Matter movement. There's so many different things. People like to go different ways. People really like to riot. People really like peaceful protests, and people just want to be angry. And so I've seen all three kind of get mixed in. The first protest I was actually approached saying that this girl wanted to riot because she said, Black people don't think this is enough. The way you're protesting, it's not loud enough. And I told her, okay, that's cool.
What do you mean, like, she wanted to riot? What does that mean?
She wanted to go in the streets and just shut down everything and run the city. And I told her, that's just not how I do it. That's not how I was trained to do it. I know that's not effective. We see this in South America all the time. The government doesn't care if you riot. They'll just keep coming. So the protest Sunday, when she led a protest on Sunday, and it ended up in looting and rioting. So that was very hard. And then from that group that protested on Sunday, that group split into a different protest group. And then that protest group turned into, like all cops are bad and like F12, F the police. So then it just kept splitting, and there's so much discourse and anger and just trying to get people on the same wavelength. And I think out of anything, I think that has just been one of the most difficult things. Also, a lot of political people are really involved with this now because elections are coming up. So we've had political people kind of see the discourse happening and come in and separate us and kind of talk to us separately and, kind of say, if you do this, I'll help you with this. I'll give money to Black Lives Matter. So then kind of talking to the younger people and saying, like, they know you guys are really impressionable right now. This is what's happening. That's been hard too. There was this one white woman who set up a whole meeting saying that she wanted to get the people of color in the community organized. But then at the same time, she asked me 3 or 4 times about my racial identity. And it's been things that I never thought could kind of come in and try and break a movement up as much as it is right now. There's
What was she asking you about your racial identity? What did she want to know?
She's like, I don't know what you identify as, if you're a Black or white, and then I've even found too, like, racial identity in the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, I identify as Afro-Latina and Black, but to some people, that's not Black enough to be at the front of the Black Lives Matter movement. So, I mean, it's a lot of things that it tries to break up the movement and tries to break up what we're doing. And so that's been, I think, probably the hardest part of getting things. I think we're entering like the 5th week, and so much change in policy could have happened and gotten done, but now nobody's meeting in the month of July, county board and town hall, nothing's happening. So now we have to wait. And it's just kind of frustrating seeing all of that happen. And yeah, I didn't think that would happen.
Do you remember what your speech was about, that first protest? Like, do you remember what you said?
Yeah. I basically said, like, today we're all revolutionaries. And that this now is the time to start doing stuff, and the way we need to go about this, we need to go in unity, we need to work together, we need to be peaceful, and we need to set the stage, because there are a lot of youth, there are a lot of kids at the protest, and they don't really teach you this stuff in history books. So I want to set an example for the youth so they can see what's actually happening and know without it being violent and crazy. And I said that, and then I ended with a quote from Ella Baker. She's a feminist civil rights activist, and she said, "We cannot rest until we have achieved freedom."
And so what are the goals for your movement that you're leading? Like, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, so I would really, really like to get a Black Lives Matter chapter going in DeKalb. That is the next step. So we're
Oh, because are
meeting.
you guys like unofficial right now? Is that what it is? Or
Yeah, it's unofficial. So basically, the way the Black Lives Matter movement works is they're kind of similar to set up to the Occupy Wall Street movement, whereas they don't have like a formal hierarchy structure and they don't make policy change. But essentially, they're the voice in the face, in the streets, and everything, and pushing for the policy change. They also help to get voters registered. They also push for pro like Black feminist education and Black women at the front of the movement, and just Black liberation, Black education in general. I think that's really what DeKalb needs, because kind of going through this, there's a lot of people that don't know about what all happened in the civil rights movement and the history of sit-ins and, you know, civil rights leaders and literature. And that's the most important thing going forward, is the education and, you know, just learning about where it started.
Cool. So let me ask you a question to kind of link this a little bit to the pandemic. So you woke up, you were pissed about it, George Floyd, everything going on. We're going to do this protest. I, did at any point you say to yourself, or did you think about, oh, but darn, there's also this pandemic going on. How is this going to work? Like, so like what ran through your mind?
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing was like, oh my gosh, well, I could just lead a whole bunch of people onto COVID, you know? Like, I didn't know, like, are we gonna get COVID? Because before then, like, they didn't have a lot of, like, numbers coming up saying, you know, the protests and COVID aren't really related. So I guess I decided to make it super, super safe and cautious, especially so the police wouldn't shut us down. So I kept posting and reiterating on Facebook, you know, super strict with social distancing, masks, hand sanitizer. And people really they brought masks, people brought hand sanitizer, like social distancing was practiced as much as it could have been. And it went well, and nobody has gotten sick. And we've had so many more protests after that. So I'm not too worried, I guess, about the whole COVID thing now. I'm not too worried about contracting COVID, I guess, through the protest, just because we're all wearing masks. We all really try to stay 6 feet, and we are outside, and we do have hand sanitizer. But it definitely is, you know, the thought in the back of my head. Sometimes I'll think, should we be doing this as much because it is COVID? We also need to be setting an example as well, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with Presker's thing. So it's it definitely has like its issues. Also, too, all these white people that show up when they go back to their jobs and go back to normal lives, will we still have this support from allies? Will we still have people dropping off $10, $25 McDonald's gift cards? Where there'll still be people, you know, dropping off water or snacks? Will we have this going forward? And that's one of the things I think COVID has kind of given a privilege with, because we have been able to get all that support from allies. But then at the same time, it will stop. And, you know, when it does, will it still have the same momentum? So it's kind of different things. Like COVID helps with it, but then at the same time, it hurts, and just very different.
What's what's been like the just from your observation, like the in terms of like the people who are going to the protests, is it mostly like what's kind of like the racial breakdown or like the age breakdown, kind of the demographics of people at the protests?
Yeah, so I would say your youth, which is a lot of black younger kids, like 16, 17, 18, up until about 22. I don't see a lot of Latinx population. I see a lot of like boomer white allies. And I think that's pretty much it. I think because there have been so many different protests with different messages, a lot of I want to say kind of the elder leaders in the Black and people of color community wouldn't necessarily go to those protests because the message is not positive and not what Black Lives Matter stands for. I really would like to see more like people of color out there. I really like to see more of the Latinx population out there, you know. But
Why why do you think they're not why do you think they're not involved, or like in DeKalb? Like where do you think
I
what's
wonder
the disconnect, you think?
I wonder if maybe because of like there was the ice raid in Sycamore, and there has been such like a heavy presence with DeKalb County Sheriff. I wonder if maybe that's it. I wonder if just because it is COVID. Um, I wouldn't say that for the rest of the country though, because I've seen like a lot of like Latinx population with it. But just at like the protests, I wouldn't say like I've seen a lot. Town hall meetings, race forums, yes. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like maybe they don't feel welcome for that. I mean, I definitely have gotten called out for like not being welcome for like using Latina, to identify myself. I'm not really sure though. Like
Like
it's
you've
just
gotten
kind of
called out by other Latinos or by
by black
by
people.
for
Yeah,
identifying as Afro Latinx or
yeah, because it's not black. It's the whole thing. Yeah, I never thought I would question my race and ethnicity more in my life than I have in these past 5 weeks. Like it's just crazy.
so
Like
what do you do about like what are your thoughts on that? Like what do you say to people or to who like question your place or like your authenticity or what your
yeah, I think for like the first few weeks, I think I was just like really, really polite, because my face was so much in the paper and so many people different talking to me, and then all of this on Facebook. So I had to be very, very selective with what I said. So I think it was just kind of like, I'm Afro Latina and black. This is what it is. But last Thursday night, there was a meeting. I think whatever night. And I just went on and I was like, I'm Afro Latina and black. For all of you who don't know, that means I'm black and Latina. But I don't identify as African American. And I just kind of said, it's not really important at this moment. We can get to my story some other time. What's really important now is that I'm here trying to get this movement going, trying to mobilize and get everybody together so we can make policy change, so lives can get better here in DeKalb. And I think I just kind of got really frustrated. Everybody wanted to know who I am, what I identify as, how long I've lived here, where, all of this. Who cares? Who cares? Like, I'm here. So that was rough. Yeah.
so are your plans to stay in DeKalb or are you
Yeah, I'm gonna stay here for at least a year. I really want to get Black Lives Matter up and running as much as I can and get leadership so it can continue. There's so many benefits to Black Lives Matter having in DeKalb, and it can go over into Sycamore. There's so many things in DeKalb County that it can focus with. Yeah, but I don't know. I wanted to take a year abroad, but it just things are so up in the air. It depends what happens.
all right? All right. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to discuss or you think we should know about your story or your experiences?
I think that's it. I think it's pretty covered.
All right.